In a world filled with advanced technology and unknown threats, there lived a young girl named Ava. Her life had always been one of struggle. She didn't have much, just the clothes on her back and the shoes on her feet. Every night, she would find herself on the cold, hard ground of the city's alleyways, curled up against the walls, hoping for just a little peace. But Ava never got peace, not in the world she lived in. Not in the way the world had become. The city was no longer what it once was. Tall buildings that had once shined with ambition now stood as decaying monuments of a forgotten era. People didn't walk freely anymore. The streets were no longer safe. Fights broke out, and everywhere there was fear. The war had changed everything. It wasn't a war that started with guns and tanks, but one that started with whispers in the dark. A war between humans and the unknown, something from another world. At first, people didn't know what they were up against. The alien ships came out of nowhere, silently appearing in the sky like ghosts. It wasn't long before their soldiers, strange, tall beings with eyes that glowed with an eerie light, began to make their presence known. They weren't here to talk. They weren't here to negotiate. They were here for something, but no one knew what it was. Ava had lost her family in the first wave of the invasion. Her parents, her brother, they were taken from her in the blink of an eye. And she was left to survive alone, on the streets, trying to avoid the aliens who roamed the city. Every night was a battle to stay hidden, to stay out of sight. There were rumors about the aliens capturing people, taking them away to places no one could imagine. People spoke in hushed tones, but Ava knew the truth. It wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about resisting. But what could one person do against beings from another world? One fateful evening, as the rain began to fall heavily, Ava sat on the cold, wet concrete of a deserted alley. She had just found a small piece of cardboard to sit on, but it was soaked through. Her eyes were heavy, tired from lack of sleep. She tried to block out the sounds of the city, the distant sirens, and the crash of thunder above. The world felt cold. Ava wrapped her arms around her knees, her mind filled with thoughts of her lost family. She didn't have anyone left, but she still had her will. She wouldn't just lay down and die. Not yet. As she sat there, the neon lights of a nearby shop flickered, casting an eerie orange glow on the wet street. For a moment, Ava thought she saw something. A shadow moving through the alley. Her heart raced. Was it one of them? One of the aliens? She quickly stood up, pressing her back against the wall, trying to blend into the shadows. Her breath quickened as the shadow grew larger. But then, something strange happened. The shadow stopped. The sound of footsteps echoed softly in the silence. And then, a figure stepped into the light. It wasn't an alien. A man, no older than 25, stood before her. His face was calm, but there was a warmth in his eyes that Ava hadn't seen in a long time. He was human. But how had he found her? How had he come here, to this alley, in the middle of a war zone? Ava didn't know whether to run or stay. She was used to being alone, to being cautious. But something about the man's presence made her feel safe, even if only for a moment. He took a step closer. "I know what you've been through," he said softly. "You don't have to be alone anymore." Ava didn't speak. She couldn't. She was confused, unsure whether she could trust him. But the man didn't look threatening. His clothes were simple, yet they looked like they had been through a lot. A jacket, torn at the edges, with a faded symbol on the back. It was the symbol of the resistance. "The war is bigger than anything you can imagine," he continued, his voice steady. "But there's still people fighting back. You don't have to fight this alone." Ava felt a flicker of hope, but she also felt a deep sense of fear. Would joining the resistance change anything? Was it even worth trying? Before she could ask, the man took a step back, his eyes scanning the alley as if waiting for something. Ava followed his gaze, and for a moment, everything felt wrong. The air seemed to thicken, and the distant sound of footsteps echoed through the street. "Come with me," the man said quickly. "Before they find us." Ava didn't hesitate. She knew that if she stayed, she wouldn't survive. But if she followed him, maybe, just maybe, there was a chance for something more than just survival. The man led her through the rain-soaked streets, and for the first time in a long while, Ava felt a spark of hope in her chest. Little did she know, her journey had just begun. Ava's heart pounded as the man led her through the narrow alleyways, the distant hum of the city growing louder with every step. She couldn't help but glance over her shoulder, her mind racing with questions. Who was this man? How did he know about the resistance? Why was he helping her? The city around her was a far cry from the bustling, vibrant place it had once been. Now the streets were eerily quiet, save for the occasional distant explosion or the low rumble of alien machinery. The war had taken everything. What remained of the city was a fractured world of survival and fear, where danger lurked around every corner. They reached an old building, its faded, cracked exterior barely visible in the dim light. The man knocked twice on the door with a rhythmic pattern, and Ava watched as the door creaked open slowly. A figure stood in the doorway, their face shadowed by the dim glow of the streetlights. "Is she the one?" the figure asked, their voice low and cautious. The man nodded. "Ava, she's not like the others, she's different." Ava didn't understand what he meant. She had no special skills. She wasn't strong. She was just a girl, surviving one day at a time. But there was something in the man's eyes, a flicker of belief, that made her think maybe there was more to her than she realized. The figure in the doorway stepped aside, and the man gestured for Ava to enter. Inside, the atmosphere was starkly different from the cold, desolate streets. The walls were lined with shelves of supplies, weapons, books, maps, and strange gadgets she couldn't recognize. The air smelled of something unfamiliar, a mixture of metal, chemicals, and the faint scent of something cooking in the back. "This is where the resistance meets," the man said, his voice calm yet purposeful. "We don't have much, but we have each other. And we have a plan." Ava looked around, her eyes wide with curiosity. There were others in the room. Some were young like her, others older, their faces hardened by the years of war. They looked up at her with a mix of caution and curiosity, sizing her up in silence. One of them, a woman with short dark hair and a scar running down her cheek, approached. "Are you sure she can handle this?" she asked, eyeing Ava skeptically. "She looks like she's just trying to survive." "I'm not asking her to fight just yet," the man replied. "But she's stronger than she thinks." Ava felt the weight of their gaze on her, but she said nothing. She wasn't sure if she was ready for whatever this resistance was, but she knew she had no other choice. The world outside was full of fear, of threats she didn't understand, and the only way to fight back was to take a step into the unknown. The man turned to Ava, his expression serious. "We've been fighting this war for a long time. The aliens aren't just invading, they're planning something bigger. They want to control everything, take everything from us. But we have something they don't have. We have each other, and we have the will to fight." Ava felt a sudden surge of determination rise within her. She wasn't sure how she fit into this resistance. She wasn't a soldier. She didn't have any special powers, but she could fight. She could help, even if it was just in small ways. She wasn't going to let the aliens take everything from her, from the world she had known. Not without a fight. The man gestured for her to sit. "You're not just here to fight. You're here because you have something special, something that could change the course of this war. But first, you need to understand what we're up against." Ava sat, listening intently as the man began to explain. The aliens weren't just invaders. They had a purpose. They were searching for something that would give them ultimate control. And Ava's connection to that something was more than she could ever imagine. The man continued. We don't know exactly what they're looking for, but we know it's tied to the energy source beneath this city. We believe that if we can unlock its power, we can turn the tide of the war. But it's not going to be easy. The aliens are everywhere, and they'll stop at nothing to get what they want. Ava's mind spun as she tried to process what he was saying. Energy source beneath the city? She had heard rumors, whispers, but nothing concrete. This was new, and it felt important. She felt an inexplicable pull towards it, as though she were meant to be a part of this mission, even if she didn't fully understand why. Why me? She asked, her voice quiet but steady. What makes me different? The man looked at her, his expression softening for the first time. You were born into this fight. Your family wasn't just ordinary. They were part of something much bigger. They were part of a group that was researching the alien technology long before the war started. We've been watching you, Ava. You have the potential to help us unlock the power we need. But first, you need to trust us. Ava felt a lump form in her throat. Her family? Her parents hadn't told her anything about this. She had always thought they were just regular people, trying to live normal lives in a world that was growing more dangerous every day. But now, she was learning that her past was connected to something far greater than she had ever realized. The weight of this new information settled heavily on her shoulders. She wasn't just surviving anymore. She was part of something much bigger than herself, and she had a choice to make. Ava sat in silence, the weight of everything she had just learned sinking in. The room around her was filled with quiet conversations and the hum of computers, but she felt a sense of isolation. Her whole life, she had fought to survive, to stay hidden from the war. Now, she was being thrust into something much larger. A fight she didn't fully understand, but one she knew she couldn't walk away from. The man who had brought her into the resistance sat beside her. His name was Noah, and he had become the leader of this small group of rebels. His eyes were filled with both determination and a deep sadness, as though he carried the weight of the world on his shoulders. He had seen too much, done too much, to give up now. But there was something else in his gaze, a hope that still flickered, no matter how faint. We're going to need you, Ava, he said softly. But before we can do anything, you need to know more about the energy source. Beneath this city, it's not just any power. The aliens are after it for a reason, and we believe it's connected to you. Your family was part of a secret project, a research group that studied alien technology before the war. You've probably heard whispers of it. But the truth is, your parents discovered something they weren't supposed to. They found something. Beneath this city, Ava's heart raced. Her parents had always told her little about their work. They had been brilliant scientists, but they had kept much of their research to themselves. Ava had often felt like an outsider, unaware of the scope of their discoveries. But now the pieces were falling into place. You're telling me that my parents were studying alien technology? Ava asked, her voice shaking with the gravity of the revelation. That they found something that could change the war? Noah nodded. Yes, the energy source beneath the city isn't just a power supply, it's a key. A key that could either save us or destroy us. We believe it's linked to the aliens' technology, and if we can harness it, we can stop them. But we don't know how to unlock it. That's where you come in. Ava was stunned. She had always thought her parents' work was theoretical, just another part of the endless scientific race. But now, she was learning that they had discovered something far beyond what anyone could have imagined. And somehow, she was the missing piece in this puzzle. Noah continued. Your parents left behind some clues. They didn't want the aliens to get their hands on this power. They knew the war was coming before it even began. They tried to hide what they found, But the aliens are persistent. They've been looking for this energy source for years, and they're getting closer. We believe they know about the research. Your parents did. We think they know that you're the key to unlocking it. Ava felt her breath catch in her throat. How could I be the key? I don't know anything about this. I was just a kid when all of this started. Noah's expression softened. You're stronger than you realize, Ava. Your parents did something to protect you. They gave you a part of their research, something you won't even remember. But that's what we need to find, the piece that you've been carrying with you all this time. It's inside you waiting to be unlocked. The weight of his words felt like a heavy burden pressing down on her chest. How could she be the key to ending this war? She had no special skills, no knowledge of alien technology. She was just a girl who had been surviving day by day. But as she looked around the room, she saw the faces of the people who had placed their trust in her. They believed in her. And for the first time, Ava felt a flicker of hope. Maybe she could help. Maybe, just maybe, she could make a difference. Noah stood up, signaling to the others. It's time. We have to get to the underground facility beneath the city. It's the last place we believe the energy source is hidden. But we can't do this alone. We need to move fast before the aliens get there first. Ava stood up her legs shaking slightly from the realization of what was ahead. She wasn't sure if she was ready for this, but she knew one thing for certain. There was no turning back now. As they made their way toward the exit, Ava's mind raced with questions. What had her parents left behind? How would she unlock the energy source within her? And most importantly, what would happen if the aliens found it first? The journey to the underground facility was long and dangerous. As they moved through the dark tunnels beneath the city, the air grew thick with tension. The sound of their footsteps echoed off the walls, and Ava couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. The resistance members moved cautiously, eyes scanning the shadows, ready for any sign of danger. When they reached the entrance to the underground facility, they were met with an unexpected sight. The doors were already open. The facility had been breached. Ava's heart skipped a beat. They're here. Noah's face hardened. We have to move fast. Stay close. They entered the facility, weapons drawn and nerves on edge. The interior was cold, sterile, with metallic walls that seemed to hum with an eerie energy. It was clear that this was no ordinary place. This was where her parents had been working, where they had hidden their research. And now it was where everything would change. As they moved deeper into the facility, Ava couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. The air seemed to thrum with energy, and she felt a strange pull toward the center of the room. There, in the heart of the facility, was a large, glowing object, the source of the power. It was exactly as Noah had described, a pulsating orb of light, surrounded by strange symbols and markings. It was unlike anything Ava had ever seen. Noah stepped forward, his eyes fixed on the orb. This is it. The energy source. But we can't unlock its power without you, Ava. Ava took a deep breath and stepped forward, her hand trembling as she reached out toward the orb. She didn't know what would happen, but in that moment, she felt a connection, a bond to the power that had been hidden beneath the city for so long. She closed her eyes, focused on her parents' memory, and let herself reach out. And then, something incredible happened. The energy within the orb flared to life, lighting up the room with blinding intensity. Ava's fingers hovered just above the glowing orb, her heart racing. The light that pulsed from it was blinding, almost as if it were alive, calling out to her. Her mind whirled with confusion and fear. She wasn't ready for this. She had no idea what would happen next. But deep within her, something stirred. Something familiar, like a hidden part of herself she didn't yet understand. Noah, standing a few feet behind her, watched with bated breath. The rest of the resistance members were silent, their eyes fixed on Ava, unsure of what would happen. The orb's light flickered, its energy growing stronger by the second, until the entire room felt alive with power. "Do it, Ava," Noah urged. "Gently, we need you. You can unlock it. You're the only one who can." Ava took a deep breath and let her hand move closer, her skin tingling with an energy she couldn't explain. The moment her fingers brushed the surface of the orb, a shockwave of power surged through her. She gasped, her body trembling as the energy coursed through her veins. It was like a fire had been lit inside her, but instead of burning her, it seemed to fill her with strength and purpose. The world around her seemed to blur, the facility dissolving into a haze of light and sound. Ava felt herself being pulled into the orb's energy, her mind racing with flashes of images, memories that weren't hers. Visions of the war before it began, of her parents working tirelessly in secret, of alien ships descending from the sky. She saw her parents' faces, their eyes filled with both fear and determination. And then, she saw something else, something terrifying. The aliens weren't just searching for power. They were searching for a way to control it. To control her. Ava's breath caught in her throat. She tried to pull away from the orb, but it was too late. The connection had already been made. The orb's energy was inside her now, and with it came a flood of knowledge, an ancient language, symbols that danced across her mind, and a sense of purpose that burned brighter than anything she had ever felt before. The power surged again, and Ava screamed out, her body jerking as if being pulled in every direction. The resistance members rushed forward, but Noah held them back, his expression one of deep concern. "It's too much for her," one of the members whispered, panic creeping into their voice. "We have to stop it." But Noah didn't move. His eyes were locked on Ava, his face etched with a mixture of hope and fear. "This is what we've been waiting for," he said, his voice low. "She has to take it. She has to unlock it." Ava's vision cleared, and she was no longer in the facility. She was somewhere else, somewhere beyond the city, beyond the war. She saw a vast star-filled sky, the same one her parents must have looked at when they first discovered the energy. Beneath the city, she saw the alien ships, their sleek forms gliding across the sky like shadows. But what caught her attention wasn't just the ships, it was the energy. She could feel it, pulling at the fabric of reality itself. She saw the aliens standing around a massive, ancient structure, their glowing eyes focused on something in the distance. They were waiting for something. No, they were waiting for her. Ava's heart skipped a beat. She understood now. She wasn't just the key to unlocking the energy beneath the city. She was the key to something even bigger, something that could change the course of the war. But the aliens weren't just searching for power, they were searching for her. They knew she had been changed, that the energy was now a part of her, and they would stop at nothing to capture her. "Ava." Noah's voice broke through the haze of images, pulling her back to reality. His voice was urgent, filled with worry. "You have to pull away. The power, it's too much." Ava's breath came in shallow gasps as the energy within her surged again, threatening to overwhelm her. She had to fight it. She had to regain control. With all the strength she could muster, Ava closed her eyes and focused on the memories of her parents, their love, their sacrifices, their fight to keep the world safe. She reached deep inside herself, finding the part of her that had been hidden, the part connected to the orb, to the energy beneath the city. Slowly, the light around her dimmed, the overwhelming power subsiding. Her body stopped shaking, and she opened her eyes. The orb's glow had softened, now a faint pulse of light in the center of the room. Ava stood there, gasping for air, her mind reeling. She felt different, changed. The power was still there, but it was no longer controlling her. She had taken it, understood it, and now, somehow, it was a part of her. Noah stepped forward, his eyes filled with awe. "You did it. You unlocked it." Ava nodded slowly, still trying to process what had just happened. The energy was inside her, and with it, A newfound understanding of what the aliens wanted and how she could stop them, but she also knew that the war was far from over. This was only the beginning. "Are you okay?" Noah asked, his voice soft. "You've just done something no one thought was possible." Ava looked around at the resistance members. They were staring at her with a mixture of hope and fear, unsure of what the future would hold. "I don't know if I'm okay," she said softly, "but I know what I have to do now. We have to stop them before they take everything." Noah placed a hand on her shoulder, his expression resolute. "We will, together." The days that followed Ava's awakening were filled with tension and uncertainty. She could feel the power within her, like a dormant force just beneath the surface, waiting to be called upon. But at the same time, it felt heavy, a burden she wasn't entirely sure she was ready to carry. Noah and the others had been busy preparing for what they knew was coming. The resistance had known all along that the aliens would eventually make a move, but Ava's connection to the energy beneath the city had changed everything. The aliens weren't just coming for the power anymore. They were coming for her. The resistance had always been a small group, scattered and isolated, trying to stay off the radar. But now they had a new mission, to protect Ava at all costs, and to stop the aliens before they could harness the energy for themselves. Ava sat in the war room, a small, dimly lit room filled with maps, blueprints, and monitors. She could feel the eyes of everyone around her, their focus intense. The weight of their expectations hung in the air, thick and heavy. They had put their faith in her, but Ava wasn't sure she could live up to it. Noah stood at the head of the table, his face grave. "We've intercepted their transmissions. They know we have the energy, and they're coming for it. We don't have much time." Ava's heart raced. She had always feared the aliens, their cold, calculating nature, their relentless pursuit of control. But now she was their target. They wanted her, and with her, the power that could tip the balance of the war. "We've identified their main ship," Noah continued, pointing to a map on the wall. "It's massive, the largest we've seen, and it's headed straight for the city." Ava's stomach twisted. She had known this day would come, but the reality of it felt so much more terrifying. The aliens were coming, and they wouldn't stop until they had her. She couldn't let that happen. She couldn't let them win. "We need to move fast," Noah said, his voice steady but urgent. "We're going to launch an assault on their ship. We've learned enough about their technology to disable their defenses, but we need Ava to be at the center of it. She's the key to breaking their hold on this city. If we can destroy their ship, we destroy their chance of ever taking control of the power." Ava's mind spun. Destroying their ship? It sounded impossible. She wasn't a soldier. She didn't have the training or the skills to do something like that. But then she remembered the power inside her, the energy that had surged through her when she touched the orb. If she could control that, maybe she could help. Maybe she could stop the aliens before they took everything. "I'll do it," Ava said, surprising herself with the determination in her voice. "I'll help you, but we need a plan. We can't just rush in." Noah nodded. "We've already started preparing. We'll need you to be in close proximity to the ship. Once we breach their defenses, you'll be our only chance to disable their energy core. We know that's where their power is coming from. If we can destroy that, they won't be able to power their weapons or shields." Ava nodded, her mind racing. She was scared more than she'd ever been in her life. But she knew this was the only way. The aliens had come for her, and they were coming for everyone. She had to stop them. It was the only way to protect the world she had left. That night, the resistance moved out. The air was thick with the smell of rain, and the city felt strangely quiet, like a calm before a storm. Ava, Noah, and a handful of others boarded a makeshift transport vehicle, a modified military truck that was camouflaged to avoid detection. The streets were empty, the once bustling city now a ghost town. haunted by the fear of the alien invasion. As they neared the outskirts of the city, the massive shape of the alien ship came into view. It hovered above the ground, casting an eerie glow across the darkened streets. It was unlike anything Ava had ever seen, sleek, dark, and foreboding. Its surface shimmering with an unnatural light. The ship was enormous. Even from a distance, Ava could feel the weight of its presence. It was as if the ship itself was alive, breathing with a power that made her heart race. She could sense it, the same energy that had surged through her when she touched the orb. It was coming from the ship. "We need to get closer," Noah said, his voice low and focused. "Once we're in range, we'll move in on foot. Ava, stay close to me. Don't let them take you." Ava nodded, her hands gripping the edge of the truck. The plan was simple: breach the ship's defenses, disable its power core, and destroy the ship. But she knew that nothing was ever that simple. The aliens were relentless, and if they knew she was coming, they wouldn't let her get close without a fight. As they got closer, the air seemed to grow colder, the sense of danger intensifying. The alien ship's engines hummed low in the distance, vibrating the ground beneath their feet. Ava's mind raced as she tried to focus on the task ahead. She wasn't ready for this. She wasn't ready to face the aliens. But there was no turning back now. Noah gave the signal, and the group disembarked from the truck, moving swiftly through the darkened streets. The resistance members kept to the shadows, staying out of sight as they approached the ship. Ava could feel the eyes of the aliens on them, even though they couldn't see them. It was as if the ship itself was watching them, waiting for them to make a move. They reached the ship's landing zone, a vast open area surrounded by metal walls. There were guards posted, alien soldiers with their glowing eyes scanning the area. The resistance members moved quickly, taking them down with silent efficiency. Ava's breath caught in her throat as she watched, but she didn't flinch. This was what they had trained for. As they breached the ship's interior, the walls seemed to pulse with energy, and the air grew thick with static. Ava could feel the power of the ship reverberating through her, making the energy inside her stir once again. She was close. So close. Noah led the way, his hand on her shoulder as they moved deeper into the ship. The corridors were narrow, lined with strange symbols and alien technology that hummed with an unsettling energy. Ava's pulse quickened as they neared the heart of the ship, the power core. And then, just as they reached the chamber, the alarms blared. The aliens had found them. The sound of the blaring alarms echoed through the narrow corridors of the alien ship, a shrill warning that sent the resistance members into overdrive. Ava's heart raced in her chest as she heard the unmistakable hiss of alien soldiers mobilizing. Nearby, the ship was alive with movement now, a stark reminder that their time was running out. Noah's hand tightened on Ava's shoulder. "We don't have much time. The core is just ahead." Ava nodded, swallowing the fear that threatened to choke her. The energy inside her thrummed with power, but she still didn't fully understand it. She had only unlocked a fraction of its potential, but it was enough. She could feel the pull of the power core, almost like a magnet, drawing her toward it. The resistance moved quickly, their footsteps silent on the metallic floors. The alien soldiers were far behind, their eerie glowing eyes flashing in the dim lights. Ava could hear their footsteps growing louder, their voices strange and unintelligible. "We can't let them catch us," Noah whispered urgently. "Stay focused." They reached the entrance to the core room, a massive chamber filled with alien technology, its walls shimmering with an unsettling light. In the center of the room stood the power core, a massive pulsating structure, its energy flowing like a river of light. The air in the room was thick with power, and Ava could feel it, the same energy that had been inside her since she first touched the orb. This was it. The heart of the ship. Noah turned to her, his voice steady despite the chaos. "Ava, you need to destroy it. You're the only one who can." Ava's breath hitched. "Destroy it? Could she really do that? The alien. Technology seemed so vast, so complicated. She wasn't a scientist. She wasn't trained to fight these things. But she had something they didn't. She had the energy, and she had the will to stop them. It was her moment to prove that she could be more than just a survivor. Ava stepped forward, the power inside her growing stronger as she approached the core. She felt the heat of it against her skin, the energy flowing through the air like an electric current. The symbols on the walls around her seemed to shift and pulse, as though reacting to her presence. She reached out with trembling hands, her fingers brushing against the surface of the core. Instantly, a surge of energy shot through her, and the power within her flared to life once again. It was overwhelming, a flood of sensations, visions, and knowledge crashing through her mind. She saw the alien ships, the vast network of their empire, and the faces of her parents, their words echoing in her mind. "You have to destroy it. Ava," her father's voice whispered. "You are the key. Don't let them take it." The flood of images and voices nearly overwhelmed her, but Ava focused on the task at hand. She wasn't just fighting for survival anymore. She was fighting for the future of her world, for everyone who had lost something to the alien invasion. She had the power to stop them, and she would. With a deep breath, Ava placed both hands on the core. She could feel its energy coursing through her, the pulse of it vibrating in her bones. She concentrated, focusing on the energy inside her. And slowly, deliberately, she began to draw it into herself. The room around her began to shake. The power core hummed, its light intensifying, and Ava could feel the resistance from the ship. The aliens were trying to stop her, but they couldn't. She was too connected now, too entwined with the power to be pushed back. With a final push, Ava released all the energy she had been holding inside. The force of it was like a storm, a brilliant burst of light that sent shockwaves through the ship. The power core erupted in a blinding flash, the force of the explosion sending Ava and the others flying backward. For a moment, everything went silent. The room was bathed in a shimmering light, and Ava felt the energy course through her one last time before it began to fade, leaving her breathless and weak. Noah was the first to recover. He rushed to her side, his face pale but filled with relief. "You did it, Ava. You stopped them." Ava looked up, still in a daze, her body trembling from the energy she had just unleashed. The ship's walls were cracking, the lights flickering as the alien power began to drain away. The ship was failing. The resistance had won, but Ava knew. The fight wasn't over yet. The aliens would never give up. They would rebuild, they would adapt. This victory was just one battle in a much larger war. The ground beneath them began to tremble as the alien ship began to fall apart. The resistance members scrambled to their feet, grabbing weapons and supplies as the ship's systems malfunctioned. Ava stood with Noah, her breath still shallow, but a sense of accomplishment flooding through her. "We need to get out of here," Noah said urgently. "The ship is going down." The group ran, moving as quickly as they could through the corridors. The air was thick with smoke and sparks flew from the walls as the ship's core crumbled. Ava could feel the tremors beneath her feet, the entire ship shaking with the force of its destruction. As they neared the exit, the sky outside came into view, bathed in the light of the setting sun. The battle was over, for now at least. They had won. Ava stepped outside, breathing in the cool air, feeling the weight of the moment settle over her. The alien ship was slowly crashing into the ground behind them, its once mighty form now crumbling into nothingness. The sky above was clear for the first time in years, and for the first time in what felt like forever. Ava felt a glimmer of hope that the war wasn't over, but this victory was theirs. And Ava had finally discovered what she was capable of, not just as a survivor, but as someone who could fight back, who could protect the future. "We'll rebuild," Noah said, his voice full of determination. "The resistance will live." On, we'll keep fighting, for as long as it takes. Ava looked around at the others, her heart swelling with pride. They had done it. Together, they had won. And now, they would carry on the fight, knowing that they had the power to change. The future. The war had only just begun, but Ava was ready for whatever came next.